Well, first things first, the movie's not even fully out yet, and the critics are already saying, this is rock solid. Yeah. This breathes new life into the franchise, all of those good things. How did those positive reviews sit with you, when the masses haven't even really seen it yet?
Yeah. When reviews could start happening, we happened to be traveling all together, me, Jonathan, and Mike, and there were folks on the plane with us who were also publicists, so people are getting some of it in real time, you know what I mean? And I think it was so nice to be sat across from Mike and looking at him and just feel this tremendous amount of pride. It's not about what critics say. Obviously, these movies, I think, first and foremost, are really for the audiences. So I think that's when it'll hit me, is how does it land with audiences? That's who we make the film for. But I just know, there's a tremendous amount of pressure from Mike coming into the third installment, and also coming in as an actor. There's this idea of like, can he direct, can he do it? And so I think that early sort of validation, even though we weren't reading the reviews, but we could tell from the faces of the people around that it wasn't bad. We're like, they're not making it bad. We're just like looking at them, we're like, oh,
how's the energy in the room?
Yeah, how's the energy in the room? It didn't, it seemed to get lighter for a certain area of folks that were reading things, and I just feel so proud looking at him, and he's beaming,
Yeah, because it is. I can only imagine the pressure, because it's also the first film without Sylvester. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And he's pulling double duty, which I know has to be tough. How was Michael the director as opposed to him, Michael the actor?
What's funny is some of the things that Mike is as a actor, he really brought to directing. And it's interesting when you've known someone for a really long time, you have this idea of them, and sometimes you have inclinations of things that they might be. And I always sense that he would be a good leader, and it was really nice to have my suspicion confirmed. Like, as an actor, he's always been the kind of actor that comes on set and people are genuinely very happy to see him, which is not always the case. There are some very fine actors, but they don't necessarily make everyone happy when they come to set. Yes. Mike is someone that does, and so the fact that I think he could do that as a director as well, that he's inside of making a very good film, he's also trying to make the experience of making the film a very good one for the people making it, and that I think is really unique.
I love the fact that you all seamlessly incorporated ASL and the life and the day-to-day, and it didn't feel forced, didn't feel like it just felt very normal. Like, we're getting an inside look into this everyday family's life. I thought that was so beautiful. Yeah. Really.
I thought so too. I think just to sort of normalize those images is so impactful, and Mila, who brilliantly plays our daughter Amara,
stole the movie. Sorry.
She's truly a star, really, really a star. Never mind, obviously there'll be a lot of necessary conversation around the representation that she provides in the context of this film. Never mind that, she's extraordinary, just as a talent, has that kind of natural, whatever it is, she has it. So to have her around, and then her real family was with us, her brilliant mom, Kim, who was there every day with us on set, and getting just to see them, a family that speaks exclusively in ASL, and to be able to, bring that energy to screen and just say how beautiful to project images of like this in this kind of film.
Yeah, she really is a star. I was like, this one here, watch out. Okay, so we see the three of you, Michael and Jonathan, and of course, me being the MCU nerd that I am too, I'm like, what is going on with my world? We got three MCU vets here. Well, Jonathan's about to be a vet.
He's about to be
he's about to be a vet. And then we have, you guys starring in this franchise. Did you guys ever get a chance just to sit on set and kind of talk about the wildness of that?
No, so funny, we never did. We were so sort of solidly in the pocket of what we were making at the time that we weren't even really thinking about that. But it's interesting, it feels almost like Marvel has this thing of creating this kind of ensemble, and so it is really special that we get to also share that. I don't know if our paths will ever cross in the MCU, but the idea that we're a part of this kind of company of actors is pretty cool.
Well, hopefully Michael's could in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, right.
But you will cross paths with Kang the Conqueror. You know that Valkyrie's gonna cross paths with Kang the Conqueror.
And I will conquer him.
I love that.
I will show him what a real conqueror
is
like.
My money is on Valkyrie. It's interesting too, the BTS moments that we have, kind of a bit of movie magic, BTS moments that we've seen from the making of this sequel. Is there anything that stuck with you that you think the audiences might find fascinating to hear about, what kind of goes behind the scenes. Jonathan was telling me that like all the body punches that they did were real, and they would have bruises that the makeup artist didn't even have to like put on because they were real.
Because they were real.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much of that over the course of the films. I mean, I think like, for example, in the first one, we had one continuous fight, and I think something that audiences won't think about is that when they're doing all the cuts and in between, that's happening in real time. So as camera's panning to one side of the ring, a makeup artist is on this side of the ring rushing to get the cut placed in real time before the camera literally whips around and sees. So that sort of like choreography and the dance that happens in real time with some of these shots is tremendous. It took me about a month and a half to realize that this is the way that Mike was calling cut, which is that he would just do a very subtle that. And it took me so long. I remember finally, and we're like in a very intense, emotional scene, and I realized that was the way he was calling cut, which I was like, that's very cute.
Well, this film also left me in shambles. I was like, y'all, I needed to just see a fight. I didn't realize how much darn heart. I mean, there's always heart in them, but this one in particular, I don't know if that's, Mike's stamp or, I know the writing and whatnot, but it had so much heart to this film.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think it does have a lot to do with Mike. I think first and foremost, these movies, they are really relationship movies that happen to have boxing in them, first and foremost. I think that's the strength of these movies. But I do think there is something about Mike and what he wanted to say, and all of us, he really invited us, Jonathan, myself, to implicate ourselves, inside of the narrative, to really wrestle, in early conversations and development. He's like, what do you want to explore? What do we want to talk about this time? And I think because of that, there is a tremendous amount of heart, because for all of us in very different ways, this movie feels very personal.
Yeah, he said to me that he worked out a lot of his personal stuff in the movie that he was going through in real life, which I liked hearing that, because I could kind of see that in watching him.
Yeah, I think we all did in different ways, I mean, Jonathan's character is really inspired by his stepfather in some ways. I think, there was a lot in terms of Bianca's struggle and sense of identification with what she does that were questions that I was asking myself. So I think there's a lot that's really personal inside of it, and I hope that, and I also think there's a lot that is very universal inside of it, questions that I think we all will be asking ourselves and have asked ourselves. So I think that's where these movies really sing.
Yeah, well, Damien got me when he said, like, what are, if you're watching somebody else live your life, like you're, and I was like, ooh, that would hit me, ooh.
Bars.
Ooh.